It's been over 50 years since the first humans walked on the surface of the moon. They kicked up dust, took some pictures, planted flags. Since then, dozens of missions have gone back, some landing, some orbiting, others crashing on purpose just to see what might get thrown up. It's the most visited, most studied celestial body in space outside of Earth. And yet, after all that, we still don't fully understand it. Not the way it stores heat, not the way it handles electricity, not even the way its soil clings to everything like it's alive. The deeper we look, the more questions we find. Some things, like the way it pulls Earth's oceans or causes solar eclipses, we figured out a long time ago. But other things, stranger things, have only gotten more confusing the closer we've looked. One of those things, it started with a signal, just a faint chemical trace. Then another, and another. Different missions, different methods, but they all pointed to the same surprising possibility. Something was there that shouldn't be. And what came next was a series of discoveries, experiments, and contradictions that would leave scientists scratching their heads for decades. It's easy to forget how slow science can be. You'd think that finding something unexpected would change everything immediately, but that's not how it works. Sometimes the most important clues are the ones nobody notices at first, or worse, the ones everyone notices, but no one believes. That's exactly what happened in 1976. The Soviet Union sent a robotic probe to the moon called Luna 24. It was the last mission of its kind, the final effort in a long series of sample return landers. It didn't make headlines. It wasn't the first of anything, or the biggest, or the most impressive, but it quietly did something important. It drilled about 2 meters beneath the surface, pulled out a small column of lunar soil, and sent it back to Earth. The total sample weighed around 170 grams. That's about the same as a baseball. Not much to work with, but enough to study. And inside that narrow tube of dust, something strange showed up, a trace of water. Roughly 0.1% of the sample contained H2O, and the deeper you looked in the sample, the more water you found. That should have been a big deal. It wasn't. Instead, scientists dismissed it. They said the water probably came from Earth, contamination, maybe from the lander, maybe from the equipment back home. It was the easy explanation. After all, the moon was dry. Everybody knew that. The textbook said so. This wasn't the first time something like that had happened either. Earlier, during the Apollo missions, samples brought back by astronauts had shown similar signs. Not a lot, just trace amounts of hydrogen-bearing compounds. Some of it might have been hydroxyl, a close component of water, but again, it was waved away. Just interference. Nothing serious. For decades, these signs sat in lab reports and footnotes. The data was archived. The idea was shelved. Nobody followed up on it. No one designed a mission to dig deeper or to test whether the water might actually be real. The assumption that it wasn't stayed in place. It wasn't until the late 1990s and early 2000s that these early signals started to look less like contamination and more like overlooked evidence. But by then, we'd spent years ignoring what was right in front of us. And by the time we were ready to go back and take another look, the moon had already started pushing back. If you stood at the edge of some craters near the moon's poles, you'd see something almost unnatural. Not because of what's there, but because of what's not. No light. Not even a faint glow. Just a sharp, permanent shadow that's never moved in billions of years. These regions are called permanently shadowed regions, or PSRs. They exist because the moon doesn't tilt much. Its axis is almost perfectly upright, only about 1.5 degrees off. That means when the sun shines across the poles, it skims across the surface, almost sideways. And the deeper the crater, the easier it is for sunlight to miss it entirely. So, there are places down there that haven't seen a single ray of light in almost the entire history of the solar system.